Old is gold. While lens technology has definitely improved over the years, sometimes vintage lenses from a bygone era are just what you need to instill a look, emotion, nostalgia, and creative vision. Hey everyone, I'm Ruben Liu and I'm a photographer, video producer, and digital creative based in Malaysia. I'm a creative group head in an advertising agency and run a production house at the same time. My aim with this channel is to equip budding creatives to kickstart their journey and carve a space in this industry. If that resonates with you, do consider subscribing. So I picked up the Canon FD 50mm F1.4 lens a while back, but since Malaysia was still having a movement restriction at the time, no thanks to COVID, I could only test it out at home on my cats and some random things around the house. It was only recently that things started easing up and I took the lens together with my Canon EOS M50 on a hike to Bukit Batu Condong to really put it to the test in the real world. Vintage lenses have always intrigued me. As someone who started photography and filmmaking in the digital age, there was something nostalgic about owning and using an old film lens. Thanks to improvements in tech, many lenses today don't have the chromatic aberrations, lens flares, and other lens defects that were around back then. But that meant that lenses today lack a certain character to them. In order to use the FD mount lens on my Canon EOS M50, I bought an FD to EFM adapter and made sure that my camera was set to release shutter without the lens, which is found in the third tab in the custom functions menu. Check out my other M50 settings in the video above, either here or here. So let's dive into why I decided to pick this lens up and what I intend to use it for moving forward. Of course, you cannot run away from the vintage look. And yes, editing can give you that vintage look too. But there's something satisfying about getting that look that you want straight out of camera. While this lens in particular has a bit too much chromatic aberration, especially if shooting in backlit environments, I do like the overall look that it produces. It's definitely not a super sharp lens, but it gives me a nostalgic feeling. I especially like the way the picture looks a little crushed while still having a very strong contrast. The lens flare can also be manipulated to look quite interesting too. I can see this lens being used in scenes that require a more old school look, or if I want to get something quite creamy. Of course, you can't run away from the smooth manual focus as well. Of course, being an old lens, this lens is manual focus only, but the focus ring is superbly smooth and very tactile to use. It's been a while since I've relied solely on manual focusing, but I think it's all just a matter of practicing. You can see in some of the clips how I started pulling the wrong way, but after a while, I did get used to it. But maybe testing in a run and gun situation was not the best of ideas. Something new. I've mentioned above that lenses today are very well built and are optically near perfection in many instances. And while that's great for commercial work, I was thinking how I could differentiate myself from the competition. And vintage lenses were one way to offer at least something that's different. While every shot can more or less look the same, sometimes going old school and adding in some artifacts could make your look more creative. Some I feel that even if my shots are slightly out of focus on the Canon FD 50mm F1.4, they are more acceptable due to the quality of the lens. Of course, there's no excuse not to nail focus, but at least they look pleasing to the eye. I also picked up the Canon FD F2.8 and I'm slightly itching to try it out as well. But that will be another video for another day. I honestly don't know how far I go down this vintage lens rabbit hole, but it's seriously a very interesting world and I'm only scratching the surface. For the moment, these vintage lenses will remain a leisure experiment, but let me know what you think about the shots taken so far with the Canon FD 50mm F1.4 lens, and tell me what are the other lenses that I should look into testing out next. I've also picked up another adapter to work with the RF mount that just arrived, so maybe next time I'll test this lens with the Canon EOS R and see the dynamic range there. If you like this video, do like, share, and comment below. Any little engagement will go a long way. That's all I have for today. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.